Hello, everyone joining in. Welcome. Thank you for coming. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself within the chat with your name, your organization, where you're coming from, we're going to get started in just a second. Awesome. I see already so many people from across the country, California, Rhode Island. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started, but as you continue to join in, please continue to introduce yourself within the chat. Thank you so much for attending Last Minute Tips for Giving Tuesday 2025. I'm so excited to talk about Giving Tuesday strategies. We're a month away. My name is Lisa Galbrin. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager here at Mighty Cause. Just a couple of housekeeping things before we jump into everything about Giving Tuesday. This webinar is being recorded. So we will send a follow-up email with a copy of the slide deck as well as the recording in a follow-up email. So you don't have to worry about whether you're going to receive the recording or slide deck. We'll send that over to you. I will try my best to keep track of the chat throughout the webinar to see if there are any questions. There is a questions tool in your Zoom panel. Sometimes that's easier for me to track questions that way. So that's the best avenue to look at questions or to post your questions. But I will try my best to keep track of the chat, and we'll have some dedicated time at the end for questions. All right, well, welcome for those, if this is your first webinar with Mighty Cause. If this is not, welcome back. For those of you, if this is your first time, Mighty Cause is a free year-round fundraising platform. We've been in the nonprofit space since 2006, so for quite a long time. We've also hosted an annual Giving Tuesday event for several years now. And we're one of the biggest technology providers for giving events across the country, such as Georgia Gives, North Texas Giving Day, Give Minnesota, just to name a few. But as I mentioned, we are also a free year-round all-in-one fundraising platform. And some of the tools and features that we provide are a donor management system, integrations, peer-to-peer fundraising, analytics, and most of these tools are available to you by participating in our Giving Tuesday event. If this is your first Giving Tuesday event, also welcome and congratulations. Giving Tuesday is one of the biggest fundraising days of the year, and so makes it all and more important that your nonprofit participates and is part of one of the biggest days of the year when it comes to nonprofits. As I mentioned, we host an annual Giving Tuesday event every year on Mighty Cause. Registration is completely free to participate, so strongly recommend to participate. So Giving Tuesday this year is December 2nd. By participating, you have access to all of our toolkits, our tools and resources, live trainings and webinars, as well as you are eligible for our prize pool. So our prize pool donations start from November 18th to December 2nd. Start counting towards our prize pool, and I'll break down some of our prizes because we just announced those. So if you haven't registered yet, what you can do is you can go to givingtuesday.mightycause.com. You'll complete the form. You'll then just have to be added as an admin to your page and complete the to-do list. The to-do list is just, it's very brief. It takes a couple of seconds. So it's a pretty seamless and easy process. And then once you have finished that, you'll be approved to participate and be eligible for prizes. I apologize, I have a cold. So if you hear some sniffling, that's just my cold. So I'm going to go through just some of the prizes because we just announced those so that for those who are participating are familiar with them. So we are giving away $20,000 in prizes this year to participating nonprofits. So we have a couple of different leaderboards and prizes that are available for nonprofits to win. So we have a most dollars raised and also unique donor prize. So the top 5 organizations in each segment, which is small, medium, large, and new organizations. So if you have not participated on Giving Tuesday within the past 2 years, you are considered new then. And then unique donor prize organization, each segment with the most unique donor prize, unique donors is given $250. We also have power hours, 6 power hours that will happen throughout the day. So in each of these time slots, the organization that raises the most dollars will receive $500. And also organizations are limited to win 1 power hour. We also will be giving away early giving prizes. So as I mentioned, donations from November 18th to December 1st, so the 2 weeks before Giving Tuesday, the top 25 organizations that raise the most, they will win $100. And as well as we are giving away golden tickets, so randomly, they're going to be randomly given, organizations will be randomly drawn and they will receive a $100 boost. And then we will have day of golden tickets. So what we do is we just pull a random donation in their system, and then that organization receives $100. And we have the time slot of when those draws will happen. We also will be doing a recurring giving match on Giving Tuesday. So any new recurring donations to participating nonprofits will be matched dollar for dollar up to $50 per gift with a total match limit of $5,000. All right, so that's just a breakdown of our prizes. You can see the full list on our website. But I wanted to make sure that for those participating are familiar with those. But let's jump into um, our agenda. So we're going to be reviewing your fundraising page, customizing your checkout, how to schedule your communication, making a follow-up, and also your messaging. So let's talk first about crafting your message. So what can you do from now until Giving Tuesday to make sure that you have a campaign set up, but also set up for success? So what you want to make sure is you create a message that's clear, that is urgent, and focuses on one powerful call to action. So you want to make sure you choose one core focus. So you want to keep it simple because clarity drives donations. And you want to single in on a specific tangible need or project, not your entire mission. That's going to be the most powerful. So instead of, hey, support our program, support our organization, help us feed 100 families this week is going to be a much more powerful statement. So you want to think in terms of your messaging, how can you make it specific? And you want to make sure that you're also defining your why now with urgency. Today only, every dollar doubled by the end of today. Help us reach our goal by midnight. When you create urgency in your language, that's going to motivate and incentivize people to give on Giving Tuesday before Giving Tuesday. You also want to make sure that you're telling a powerful story that kind of ties into your specific message. So using images, video that illustrate the impact. A single person or family whose life changed because of your work is a really great example. I know animal organizations often do this by signaling out a specific animal that they've supported. Those can be really powerful. And you want to also frame your messaging around your impact and not the ask. You want to focus your messaging on what donors' gifts are going to be doing and not just that you need funds. So your gift of $25 provides a week of meals for families in need, right? Because also when you're framing that language, again, around the impact, that also can incentivize how much a donor gives. So not only that they give, but how much that they give. So I've provided an example of what your Giving Tuesday messaging can be. I recommend defining 2 to 3 key messages or 2 to 3 sentences that you will kind of hone in on for your Giving Tuesday campaign. What are you trying to achieve and why? So I have here in my nonprofit example for my food pantry. This year, we provided over 100,000 meals to families in need. So I've talked about what we've been able to accomplish this past year. We are raising $20,000 so we can expand our food pantry service and feed even more people in our community. So I'm talking about what is the goal of this campaign? And we want to provide 200 meals by the end of 2025, and this campaign will help and will set us up to do that. So I'm talking about the urgency. We're trying to complete this before 2025. And this is also the impact of us raising $20,000 is the impact of making a gift. So something I also encourage you to do is, if possible, is mobilizing your inner circle. So activating your support network, whether that's your board or your team, send them sample. We'll talk a little bit about scheduling communication a little later, but you want to ask them if it's possible for them to share or like your posts. If you share with them some email copy or graphics, can they share on their own social platforms? Or email 5 to 10 people to get the word out on your campaign. And I've said this story before because, um, I think it's kind of the power of when you just ask someone, hey, can you just share this with your network of people? Um, I had a sister who had a friend in grad school, and her friend started a nonprofit. It was brand new. And she created a fundraising page and kind of broke down on the fundraising page. They were building a school and what the funds they needed for the school, but all she asked was her network of people, hey, can you just share this with your friends and family? Here's our mission, here's the email that you can send out. And my sister forwarded that email to me, and she sent that over to me, and I made a gift. So even just the power of asking people to do a simple favor of just sharing your messaging can be really powerful. Something you also want to consider is peer-to-peer fundraising. Is that something your board or anyone in your support network is willing to do for your organization? Because it's never too late to launch a peer-to-peer campaign. It's on on Mighty Cause in particular, it's really easy to quickly set up peer-to-peer pages. You can utilize fundraising templates so that board members can personalize their pages. You can create team pages. Really, the world is your oyster. All right, I'm going to pause there just for some questions. For the $250 most unique donors or dollars raised prizes, are those funds raised on December 2nd, or does that also include early giving? I believe that includes early giving as well. Let me get back to you on that. Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head the time constraints on that. It might just be day of, so let me get back to you on that. I apologize. Um, Yeah, Karina, I can get back to you about the time on that. It might be listed on the page already. The recurring giving match, are they available during the whole giving day period? So there is a match value of $5,000. So whenever that's met, that's when it will end. So it could go throughout the whole day, or it could stop during a particular time. It just depends how many of those donations are being met. The gifts are matched to, yes. So any new recurring gift that is created for any organization on the platform up to $50, or yes, it's going to be counted as a match and will count towards that $5,000. Um, My organization currently uses Give Butter. Can we use both Mighty Cause and Give Butter at the same time? You are more than welcome to use whatever fundraising platform that works for you. So if you want to use both Mighty Cause and Give Butter, you are more than welcome to raise funds there. I should preface this by saying that for prizes, all donations that are made through the platform count for prizes. So any offline gifts will not count towards any leaderboards or prizes. Um, all right, and then there's a couple of messaging questions. I'm going to save those because I think some of it will be answered throughout the webinar. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about reviewing your fundraising page on Mighty Cause. And these are just some things that, regardless where you're fundraising, something to be aware of. But this is just going to also be talk about the platform and where to find this information. So you want to make sure that for your fundraising page that you have a clear goal set, and that that information is updated on your page. So on your Mighty Cause organization page, there is a kind of pencil tool near your thermometer that you can click, and you can choose to edit that date and as well as set the goal that you want. So if you've participated in previous years, you want to make sure that you're going and you're updating the date that your metrics will count from, because the date that you set, that will determine the donations at the top, what it's counting. So if I say, hey, November 6th, it will start counting donations from November 6th. So you just want to make sure that is updated. You also want to make sure that you are reviewing your fundraising page and making sure that is updated with any correct language, images, and any links that you have listed there. Because this is going to be the main link that you're going to be sharing to your donors, to your support network. So you want to make sure that it has the most relevant information on the platform. If you need help if you're new to the platform and you need help to guide yourself as to what exactly to complete on your page, I highly recommend utilizing our to-do list. If you have, this is your first time participating, you might have seen that you've had to complete already 2 tasks on your to-do list in order to get approved, which is adding a logo and a banner image. But there are a couple of different other just setups or different tools or features on the to-do list that can help guide you through setting up the platform. And sorry, that to-do list is available on your overview or on the top left-hand side of your dashboard. If you have a match, if you've been fortunate enough in that you have received a match, you can add that onto the platform. If it's something that you're considering, I highly advise that you, if possible, can attain one. We have a whole webinar dedicated about matching grants, which you can check out in our webinar library. But to create your match on your dashboard on the left-hand side, you can go to fundraising tools and matching grants and click create, and then you can add your match there. There are a lot of different type of match types that you can create. So if you want your match dollar for dollar or based off a threshold like a donation threshold or unique donor threshold, you can set it up that way. So they're pretty flexible. Again, only online donations made on the platform will count towards prizes. So any match dollars or offline gifts don't count towards leaderboards or prizes. Something that's also available on the platform that I briefly described is our fundraising template, which you can use if someone is interested or if you have people that are interested in peer-to-peer fundraising. You can create a fundraising template where you can basically input an image, a short description, a goal, so that if anyone is interested, let's say your board members, you can create a template and share them the template link. And then that will just make the process seamless and quick and easy for them to go ahead and create their fundraising page. They can, of course, go in and customize it however they want, but all of that essential basic information is already populated for them by you. And that can be found in the fundraising tool section of your dashboard. Within your settings section of your Mighty Cause dashboard, I also highly recommend to go in and just double check that some of this information is updated for this year. So one being your admin list. Go to settings/admins. Do you have all of the right people who need access to your page available there? Are there people who are no longer with your organization that don't need admin access? You can go in and remove people or add them to your organization page. In your general settings, there is a section called social share settings. If you've ever shared a link on Facebook or Twitter, etc., you may have seen sometimes an image and text are automatically populated. That's what the social sharing is referring to. So if you have an outdated image or text, You want to make sure that is updated and approved. And then lastly, do you have your EFT information set up? So your direct deposit information. We will disperse funds after Giving Tuesday. So do you have that information all set up and ready to go? And lastly, this is more pertinent for returning organizations, is making sure you're utilizing your retention report because that is going to be a really easy list. We'll talk a little later about this donor list. But this is going to be a direct list of all of the donors that made a gift last year, have made a gift this year, and have not retained this year. So it's a really easy list for you to quickly see, okay, who should I reach out to this year? They gave to us last year. This is a great list to reach out to and say, hey, you gave a gift last Giving Tuesday. This is what we're trying to do this Giving Tuesday. Can you support us? Okay, I'm going to pause for questions for a second. Then we're talking about optimizing your giving. Does Mighty Cause work on your Shopify page? I am not familiar with Shopify, but if on Shopify, if it works the same as any like website builder, you should be able to add an embeddable form, which we'll talk about in a second. Can we sell merch to raise funds? So that is actually a really great question. So all donations on the Mighty Cause platform are processed through a donor advised fund, the Mighty Cause Charitable Foundation. What this means is that the donation is immediately tax deductible for donors when they make their gift, and we handle the tax receipt. So we automatically send the donor a tax deductible receipt. You don't have to worry about that. And so the donations are processed through the DAF and advised to your organization. Because they are processed through a DAF, there are certain there's certain criteria of how donations can be made, and unfortunately a donation cannot be made in exchange for a good or a service. So you cannot sell merch in order to raise funds on the platform. um okay, I'm going to continue because I think some of these questions will be answered as we continue on. All right, so you want to make sure also that you are optimized for Giving Tuesday. How can you be optimized for giving? So I would recommend doing an inventory of or a review of your donation process on your website. If you're participating in our Giving Tuesday event, you can utilize an embeddable form that we have available on the platform. So with the embeddable form, you can this is just oh, let me go here. um this is an example I put up of a Wix site of how you do it. You just simply on Mighty Cause update it or create your embeddable form, add your customizations, copy the iframe code, and then on your website you can simply copy and paste, and then the form will be added here. And it will look like this or like this as you see at the bottom. If you are utilizing a dedicated like team fundraising page or a dedicated fundraising page, or you are using your organization page, and you want people to go to your organization page, you can also simply just add the hyperlink to your website. So as you see in this example here, support furry friends this Giving Tuesday. This Giving Tuesday, your gift fuels emergency vet care. And so there's just a direct button at the top of the donate page to go make a donation. It links to the Giving Tuesday page. So you can embed the form, or you can also just hyperlink it on your page. But regardless, I would recommend that you're also making sure that your donation button is available in your email footers. Is it in your social media bios or in your link tree? Anywhere that, you know, a donor would kind of happen upon your organization, do they know where to go to make their gift? Something I also recommend is considering to add donation tiers. And we kind of talked about this when we spoke about focusing your messaging. I think donation tiers can be really powerful in terms of for donors to visualize and see the impact of their gifts. And as I mentioned before, it can also motivate donors to give even more than they originally intended to by seeing the impact of their gifts. Um, so this is an organization that utilizes Mighty Cause in their embeddable form. So they have for $10 a month an ideal monthly recurring donation. It's a thank you. $50 a month can fund a student to attend a wingman workshop. $100 a month trains a student to be a wingman leader. $500 a month trains a wingman trainer for a school district. It just helps kind of visualize for a donor exactly the impact their gift can make. On your Mighty Cause dashboard, you can update this information on your donation form by going to your dashboard, the checkout section, and clicking donation form, and you can update your donation levels. You can add additional donation levels, and you can add descriptions. And as well, one thing you can additionally do on your donation form is collect any other data that you need. So it's definitely something I would consider when you're thinking about your donation process for Giving Tuesday. This is more thinking kind of ahead is if you're creating a fundraising campaign and you're collecting donations this Giving Tuesday, is there any data that would be helpful for your nonprofit in the future or, by the end of the year? For some nonprofits, that can be looking for more volunteers or understanding the age demographics of their donors. It could be any question you can think of that could be helpful in receiving that data for your nonprofit. You can add to your donation form. And so I would just, think about, is there anything that we could ask that could be helpful? Maybe that, are you interested in subscribing in our newsletter? Whatever that may be. On the platform, you can create any type of question that you want, and there's different type of answer options as well, like radio or checkbox or just short text, whatever you want that to be. And then you can also choose if you want that to be required or not. Do you want it to just be available on your donation form, or do you want donors to have to fill that out in order to complete their gift? So, additionally, in the checkout section of your dashboard, there is a section called Thank You Page that you want to consider. So, once a donor makes a gift, what is that donation process that a donor is going to go through? So, regardless of Mighty Cause or not, what is the first message that they're going to see? What are they going to receive? So our thank you page is the page that pops up once they make a gift. It'll say, thank you for donating. And then you can add your own images, video, or text that you want displayed on that page. It can also have a call to action button if you want them to, like I mentioned, subscribe to your newsletter or go to your Facebook. Whatever you want that to be, you can add a call to action button that directs them there. As I mentioned just a couple minutes ago about how donations are processed through Mighty Cause. So all donations are processed through Mighty Cause Charitable Foundation, our donor advised fund. So we will send out the tax receipts to donors automatically. But if you want to add additional language to the receipt, you can go ahead and do that in your donation receipt section of your dashboard. So you can add whatever language that you want, hyperlinks, etc., and that will be included on the receipt that is emailed to donors. Okay, I'm going to pause just for questions. Um, Is the embedded form compatible with Blackbaud Razor's Edge? Um, so the embeddable form would have donations that are processed through Mighty Cause Charitable through Mighty Cause. So I don't know. I wouldn't think that but I'm not so familiar with Razor's Edge. We do have integrations with, I don't have this in another slide deck, but we do have integrations with Zapier. If Zapier has Blackbaud Razor's Edge available in there, if there's any data that you need sent over to Razor's Edge from your Mighty Cause donations, you can set up that integration. I'm not sure if they're on Zapier, but if they are, you could set up that integration. Will the slides and recording be available to you? Yes, we're going to email out slides and recording to you in a follow-up email. Okay. Um, I'm just going to continue for time and I'll make sure to save questions also at the end. Okay, so scheduling communication. So before Giving Tuesday, one of the things that you can start doing today is setting up your communication plan and your communications that you're going to be sending out for Giving Tuesday. So here is kind of a drafted schedule that I created just to kind of guide you as to what I would recommend to do. So November 18th, 2 weeks before Giving Tuesday, that's the start of early giving, of sending an email announcing that. Start collecting gifts. 1 week before Giving Tuesday, making sure you're sending out communication. That Giving Tuesday is 1 week away. You can start receiving gifts for Giving Tuesday. One day before Giving Tuesday, and then also the day after. As well, and on the day, you can even have two emails, even three if you wanted to, but two emails in the morning of Giving Tuesday is here, help us reach your goal. And then a third one or another one in the evening, last chance to make your gift before midnight. Within your email communication, or in general in any communication, you want to make sure that your communication is following I like to recommend a storytelling arc. And we kind of talked about this about focusing your messaging. So what is the challenge that your organization is trying to solve for? What is that solution that you are solving? What is the impact that you are making? And then what is the call to action that you're asking donors to do? And that's where we talked a little bit about focusing your messaging, including stats, including maybe also, historical information. Maybe it's the anniversary of your nonprofit. Any important information that you think for your organization is going to be impactful for your campaign, I would recommend pulling that information in. And also using urgent language, especially during this time frame of help us reach our goal before midnight. In your emails, you want to make sure that you have, or in your newsletters, wherever, you want to make sure that you have a strong call to action, that it's super clear and apparent. This can be a button that you hyperlink then to your fundraising page. That is clear of support us today, give this Giving Tuesday, give again, donate. And I have a couple of different examples of different emails that you can choose to send based off, the schedule I provided or however the schedule you want to do. We just did a communications webinar. If you want to kind of jump more into communications, we also have a whole webinar dedicated to that. But just some examples. So one being an impact story. So, framing it on a specific individual or group, choosing a story that really illustrates your work and the impact that your organization does. Something that could be maybe more emotional, an emotional connection to a donor, could be an alumni, a head honcho email. So this would be an email that comes directly from your executive board, your board chair, someone important that comes directly from them, and provides, that context that's relevant to 2025 and the work that you've done and what you're trying to accomplish. Your 2025 accomplishments. So this could be a dedicated email that you send. Maybe that's the week before Giving Tuesday. You have an email that's dedicated to what have I accomplished all of 2025. We've been able to do X, Y, and Z this year. You can include an infographic. I think this is great because of you language type of email. Because of you, we were able to do X, Y, and Z this year. Or last year, last Giving Tuesday, we were able to do X, Y, and Z because of the funds raised. An email that's dedicated to your 2026 goals. What are you planning on doing with the funds that you are raising? What are your goals for the year ahead? You're trying to get supporter buy-in, and this could be a really great also tool for your year-end fundraising, kind of gearing up for our goals for 2026 are this. This can kind of flow into any year-end messaging that you're planning. um urgency countdown email. So 1 day left to donate for Giving Tuesday. Again, utilizing urgency for to your benefit. Of course, you want to utilize this judiciously because not every email and language should be perceived as urgent. But you want to remind donors that before midnight, that's the end of the campaign and that you're trying to raise money for your organization. If there's a match, as I said, have here, match grants announcements. That's why matches are also so great. It's a great communication tool to really drive donations and create incentive. And then, of course, donor retention. So having dedicated emails to people that have donated in the past and asking them to give again. Your impact made a difference, to double your impact this year. So I have a couple of segments here that I recommend that you consider to create dedicated communication for, or you want to consider to think about these groups of people and what you can create for these individuals. So one being your last year Giving Tuesday donors. So setting up an email now of, hey, you supported us last year. This is what we've done this year. This is what we're trying to accomplish. Can you support us again this year? Your unretained donors from last year. So who gave last year, who hasn't given this year? So similar language. Any major donors or recurring donors that you're asking for a one-off gift of your goal. Any volunteer supporters, etc. And I think this is where it's really helpful to have when you can drive down what is your focus message. This communication becomes easier because you have all of those stats, you have those metrics, you have that specific language that you want to include when you're reaching out to these people and explaining your campaign. I've talked a little bit about retention, but this is such an important group to, I think, focus on because these donors already have familiarity with your organization. They're more likely to give again. So it's really important, I think, to reach out to the donors who have supported you in the past and also update them on your organization. But you can include impact data. I have an example. Your $50 donation helped us provide 10 school lunch meals to children in need this past year. With your help, last year, we were able to provide 10,000 lunch meals to students in need. So showing the impact of their gift and again, tying it back to your organization and how people can help. So I have an email template here. Again, a donor retention email template. We also have more email templates in our toolkit. So you can check out Giving Tuesday email templates and best practices and our Mighty Cause marketing communications toolkit. But I'll briefly just kind of summarize this email. Last year, your generosity helped us, I'll say support 100 nonprofits for their Giving Tuesday campaign. And your gift truly made a difference. We can't thank you enough. But our work isn't finished. This Giving Tuesday, we need you by our side to ensure that 200 nonprofits can be supported this Giving Tuesday. Our goal this year is to raise, $10,000 in order to impact double the amount of nonprofits that we serve. Will you give again and make an even bigger impact this year and visit our Mighty Cause page to make a difference? So something that we also have available on the platform, so this is available to everyone, is a sync with MailChimp. So if you do have a MailChimp, if you do utilize MailChimp, you can actually set up a direct integration where you can have all of your contacts that all of the donors that you start receiving from Mighty Cause get put into MailChimp. If you utilize another email marketing tool, as I mentioned, we do have integrations with Zapier. So if they are on Zapier, you could create an integration via Zapier. Zapier, if you're not familiar, is a third-party integration tool essentially. Any apps that are available on Zapier, you essentially can connect to separate apps together. So you could say, anytime I receive a Mighty Cause donation, I want it to get added to a Google Sheets list. So you can create different types of integration. So I recommend checking out Zapier and see if there's any other system that you use, if there's a possibility to set up an integration there. All right. And so also maximizing your social media. So making sure that you are set up to post and have images and content for your social media. So this is stuff that you can schedule out ahead of time. Um, and I always recommend my rule of thumb in terms of social media is working with the platforms that you know and that your donors are. You want to work smarter, not harder this Giving Tuesday. There's a lot going on. So if you want to experiment with a new platform, definitely go ahead. If you want to test out TikTok, that's awesome. But don't feel the pressure of having to post in places that maybe your donors are not there. You want to focus on speaking to your support network. Um, and so you can do that with, as you see here on the right-hand side, strong images that share your story. One thing you can also experiment with, and we talk a lot more about social media in our communications webinar, is also putting some money into boosted posts. So if you are unfamiliar with some of the social platforms like Facebook and Instagram, is that that you can actually put money into having your posts get seen by a larger network of people. And so you can choose how much funds you want to put into that, whether that's $20, $100, you can decide that. It's pretty easy. Boosted posts, it's pretty user friendly and easy to do. But you could test that out this year and see if it's effective for your organization. Meta, Facebook, and Instagram, they also have something that's a bit more, complicated. Not so complicated, but they have an ad manager. If you want to get a little bit more complicated of it, but Boosted Posts is the most easiest way if you do want to put a little ad money into trying to reach a larger network with your social posts. Something that's also on the platform that you can do is add a referral code to your links. So what a referral code does is when you add a referral code to a link, when someone goes and then uses that link and makes a gift, we will record that data and have it included in your donations report. So let's say, and you'll see here as the referral code is you add it to the end of your URL, !referral underscore code equals. So I would add givingtuesday.mightycause slash or .com slash organization slash mighty foundation slash !referral underscore code equals Facebook. So that's the link I'm going to use on Facebook. So when I share my page, I'm going to use that link. And then when I look at my donations report, it's actually really simple for me to see where every gift came from if I want to keep track of that. So there are a couple of different free social tools that you can utilize or different marketing tools that you can utilize. One, Canva. If you are not on Canva, I highly recommend it. If you are a nonprofit, if you're a 501c3 nonprofit, it is free to get a nonprofit account. And there are so many templates available to you. In our marketing toolkit, in our graphics section, there are links to Canva templates that we've made that you can utilize for Giving Tuesday that you can go in and customize. That kind of goes into our toolkit. Linktree. So in your Instagram bio, what link do you have there? Linktree is a tool that allows you to create a directory of bookmarked links. So if you have more than one link that you want displayed in your Instagram bio, that's a great tool to utilize. That kind of takes all of your links together into one link. Unsplash, which is royalty-free stock photos. If you need any stock photos for any email communication or social media that you're doing. CapCut is a easy video editor that a lot of people use for TikTok. You can utilize it for reels or stories. And then Buffer is a free social media scheduler slash planner. So if you want to start on getting all of your posts ready for Giving Tuesday, you can utilize Buffer, and you can start scheduling those out so you don't have to worry about that on the day of. So I have a link to, this is a link to all of our kind of marketing toolkit and all of our resources that you can access. All right. So we're coming up at the end and then we'll jump into questions. But you also want to make sure, lastly, is that you have a follow-up plan because getting donations is a great victory, but you also want to make sure that you're keeping those donors and that you're going to keep those donors engaged in your organization. So how can you do that? So one is you want to plan on reporting your results of Giving Tuesday. Now, if you didn't make your goal, that's perfectly okay. You can still celebrate what you've been able to raise so far. And there could be also accomplishments that maybe are not numerical that you want to shout out. You know, you could say how many donors you've received, how many donations, how many volunteers you've received. Um, but you want to share your results and also thank your supporters for all of the work that how they've supported you this Giving Tuesday. For your major donors or any grantors, that could be through a phone call, definitely posting on social media, and also through snail mail, writing out a letter or a thank you card. I volunteered for an organization that was all volunteer run. And for our Giving Tuesday campaign, what we did was we divided and conquered. So we took a list of all of our Giving Tuesday donors and we gave each person a select amount of people to write a thank you note to. We just bought a stack of note cards, or thank you cards, and each one was just responsible. Each volunteer was responsible for sending a thank you letter or thank you card to those donors that we received that we were in charge of. So you can divide and conquer and kind of write that personal note to who has supported you this Giving Tuesday. And then you want to start stewarding them and start getting ready for end of year fundraising and also 2026. So something you want to think about is, do you have a welcome journey? How are you welcoming donors to your organization? Um, I highly recommend, if you're using an email marketing tool to kind of set up a system where an email is automatically sent to donors as they make a donation. It could be a week after, 2 days after, that starts welcoming them to your organization. And that starts kind of telling the story of your nonprofit and how people can start participating. All right, so in summary, for Giving Tuesday, you want to make sure that you are following up with your donors. You don't want the conversation to end here. So you want to make sure that you are setting up for year-end fundraising and as well as your 2026 messaging. And what's the least that you can do to fundraise? So I will first review your fundraising page to make sure there's no outdated information. I would start scheduling 1 to 2 social media posts with a link to your fundraising page for Giving Tuesday. Plan at least 1 to 2 email blasts to your network announcing how people can help you by donating to your campaign. And then I have a list of toolkit here of everything that's available on our Mighty Cause toolkit if you need any additional help or resources. And just a couple of important save the dates. So if you aren't registered for Mighty Cause's Giving Tuesday event, I highly recommend registering it. You can go to givingtuesday.mightycause.com. November 18th is when early giving begins, and December 2nd is Giving Tuesday. So we will send out a follow-up email with the slide deck and a copy of the recording. If you're interested in just learning about Mighty Cause in general for year-round fundraising, any additional information, there's going to be a survey and you can let us know if you want to be in touch. Register for Giving Tuesday if you're not registered. And then we have one more webinar after Giving Tuesday for 2025. It's about year-end fundraising. So if you are interested in signing up for that webinar, you can go ahead and do that on our webinars page. All right, so let's get to some more questions. All right. Can we see the link page again, or can you drop the link in the chat? Yes. Is it this one? It will be included in the follow-up email, all of these links. Um, okay. If we set up our giving page on our website, is the same as having it set up through Mighty Cost? Can we have both? So if you want to participate in our Giving Tuesday event and be eligible for prizes, donations have to be processed through mightycause.com. So that could be through our embeddable form or through a link to your page, but they have to be processed through Mighty Cause's platform. So as long as they're being processed through Mighty Cause, it counts towards your Giving Tuesday prizes. I should say, let me clarify, if you already have an embeddable form on your page, you want to make sure that it's updated to your Giving Tuesday embeddable form. So that's directly tied to your Giving Tuesday campaign. Um, so you can collect, for your nonprofit personally, you can collect donations however you see fit. But if you want to participate in our event, it would have to be through Mighty Cause. All right, so let me get to the chat. How often should Giving Tuesday be done? So Giving Tuesday is once a year. So if you're not familiar with Giving Tuesday, it started as a response to Cyber Monday and Black Friday to kind of the materialness of that time of the year. So it is a day that's dedicated to nonprofits. It is a day for quite literally charitable giving, which makes it all important to, at least participate in some capacity because this is a day that's dedicated to charitable giving. Can you explain about matches up to $50? Yes, I don't have it right in front of me, but I believe that is donations up to $50. So if it's above $50, it will not count. But I don't have the prize right in front of me, so I apologize. But I can clarify and get back to you, Bravi. Um, I notice on the org page, some of the other organizations have different labels other than about and our goal. How do I get our goal tab renamed? You should be able to do that through like your editing, there should be a tool where you can edit it. I don't have it on the top of my head of exactly, but it's available there. You can the about section is always going to be called about, but if you have a secondary tab, that can always be re-edited. Okay, perfect. You found it. Um, Initially you said the matching donations apply to right, correct. So I apologize. The match is just reserved to new recurring gifts that happen. It's not just any donation that happens. It's only for new recurring gifts. Um, okay, sorry, I'm just trying to go back and make sure. Any questions that I missed previously? Um, what if we what if we do a page and don't get donations? What can we do to improve? Maybe it's my network of people. Um, yeah, I think first is setting the correct expectations. Like if this is your first Giving Tuesday event, um, every organization's is going to have a different goal and you're going to have different expectations. So if this is your first event, you want to think realistically of, what your goal can be. And again, this is why I didn't talk about it now, but of thinking about, maybe your goal is numerical, but maybe it can also set your own goal of, I want at least, I want so and so donors, right? Maybe it's not this year about how much I raise, but I want to at least start getting more people to be engaged with my organization. So I want more donors. Um, but in terms of what you can do to improve it, like I said, I think asking, checking with your network and seeing, are they sharing my posts? Are they actually asking, their network of people to, are they sharing this on? And also, is the language that you are providing them clear and concise of what your goal is and what you are asking? Is it vague of, hey, just support my organization, support our mission? Or is it super clear and specific as I showed? Um, and as well, something I can also consider is thinking about your mission and what your cause is related to. And there might also be groups, like cause groups related to your organization that you can get involved with or reach out to. It just depends on your organization. How do we get the word out earlier than Giving Tuesday, though? That feels odd. It's not odd. So a lot of organizations do this. A lot of giving events do this too, because um, especially we're in the giving event space. So most giving days actually start accepting gifts earlier, sometimes a month earlier than their actual giving day, because they know it's hard for nonprofits to actually get everyone that they want to give on, the giving day. So this just gives people one, some people have to get reminded a couple of times to make a gift, but so that they're not just reliant on making their gift on December 2nd, they can make their, gift if they're free the a previous day, etc. They can still make their gift. Um, Once our pages to-do lists are complete, how do we submit to know we are set up for Giving Tuesday? So if you completed the registration form and you completed your to-do list, then you should get an email notifying you that you are approved on your on your overview, I'm sorry, on your overview section of the dashboard. It will say whether your status, whether you're approved or not approved. Okay. Um, Sorry, just going through. How many campaigns can you have going on at the same time? That's a great question. You can have as many campaigns as you want going on at the same time. Different organizations set up their campaigns differently. Some have dedicated programs that they have dedicated fundraising pages for, so they keep that separately. Some have a year-round capital campaign that they're doing, and then they also have a Giving Tuesday fundraising campaign. So you can have as many as you want, whatever fits the needs of your nonprofit. Which one has a better giving rate, embeddable form, or insert a hyperlink? I actually don't have those stats. That's a great question. I don't have those stats for you of what drives better. But I would say regardless, hyperlink or embeddable form, you just want to make sure that you are directing people to donate where you want them to donate. So you don't want people to, in your email to just go to your website and then figure out where your donate button is. You want to make sure you're directing them to the right page to make a gift. And so then they're not trying to have to figure out where to go. Um, Yes, I can drop the toolkit link in the chat. Let me see. Oops, sorry. So I'll drop the registration link first here. And then the toolkit is here. Okay. Um, Okay. I think I got to every question, but if I didn't, please feel free to re-add your question to the chat. I know we're at the end of time. I will make sure to include all of the prize information in the follow-up email, as well as a link to our toolkit and our registration. If you have any other questions, please let us know. We are here to support you. I hope this was helpful. And I hope everyone has a great Giving Tuesday. Lastly, I love seeing what everyone does on social media for Giving Tuesday. I just love to see the work that you guys do. So please feel free to @ or hashtag Mighty Cause because I personally just like to see what everyone is working on, and I'll make sure to repost it or share it on our pages as well. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Okay, thank you, Valerie. I'll make sure to follow you guys at Soul Gives. Um, Thank you, everyone. I hope you have